You may be wondering why we need to discuss food safety for a caregiving, support, or intervention role. At times, you may be preparing and feeding your client meals. It's important to handle his food correctly for a few key reasons. First, individuals under your care are part of a vulnerable population, which tends to have more food allergies, more gastrointestinal issues, and more immunocompromised individuals. Foodborne pathogens can impact these individuals more than the general population. Second, plans can easily be disrupted when you are assisting an individual with developmental or behavioral challenges. This includes the timing of meals and snacks. You could easily forget how long a food item has been sitting out if you aren't paying attention to food safety. Third, causing an individual to fall ill will not only make you feel bad, there can also be professional or legal consequences for negligence. What is foodborne illness? Commonly known as food poisoning, foodborne illness is any sickness that results from eating or drinking contaminated food. Food contaminants fall into three categories: pathogens, toxins, and chemicals. Pathogens are the most common culprits and include bacteria, viruses, and parasites. Toxins can be produced by certain bacteria or can naturally be present in some foods, like poisonous mushrooms or fish toxins. Chemicals include pesticides or cleaning agents that are accidentally introduced into food. So, how do we prevent foodborne illness caused by pathogens? First, by properly handling food through regular hand washing, using only clean utensils and surfaces, and by keeping raw and cooked foods separated from one another. Second, by heating foods to a high enough internal temperature to kill pathogens. Third, by ensuring that perishable foods like dairy and meat are never left out in the danger zone of temperature for too long. Bacteria can multiply quickly when food is sitting at a temperature between 40 and 140 degrees. It's also important to know that raw ingredients like raw meat, eggs, milk, and even fresh produce can carry pathogens. To prevent contamination from raw ingredients, you should always check the expiration date on an item before using it. Last, you need to take protective measures if you or anyone else who is sick will be around food. Things like gloves, masks, and hairnets can provide some level of protection from the spread of pathogens through food. Let's look at some specific food types and how long they can sit out for. At danger zone temperatures, bacteria can double in number in as little as 20 minutes. As you can see from this table, most food types should be tossed if they've been sitting out for 2 hours or more. If they've been outside and it's 90 degrees or higher, they should be thrown out after 1 hour. Dairy should never sit out for more than an hour. Whole fruits and vegetables can often sit out for several days, but the timeline varies depending on the amount of starch and the texture of their skin. Preventing foodborne illness from toxins requires a few different approaches. Toxins are inherent in certain foods like rhubarb leaves, funeral bell mushrooms, pokeweed berries, and pufferfish. Cooking, freezing, and other preparation methods may not destroy the toxins in high-risk foods. So, your best bet is simply to avoid them. Scombroid is a form of histamine that forms when certain fish are left at improper temperatures for too long. Tuna, mackerel, mahi-mahi, and bluefish are a few types that are susceptible to scombroid poisoning. Cooking will not destroy this preformed histamine. To avoid this issue, these types of fish must be rapidly chilled after being caught and kept at 40 degrees or colder throughout transport, storage, and retail. You may have heard of the botulism toxin. Clostridium botulinum bacteria produce a highly potent neurotoxin in oxygen-free environments, particularly in improperly canned or preserved low-acid foods. Unlike some other toxins, this one can be destroyed by sufficient heat. Even with that said, it's a good idea to toss out any damaged food cans or containers, as dents and bulges increase the potential for botulism contamination that may not be destroyed if the item isn't adequately heated. Prevention of foodborne illness from chemicals has a lot to do with keeping food and chemicals separated. Chemicals should always be stored in a well-ventilated area, away from food and food preparation surfaces. It's best to keep chemicals stored lower than food and utensils. That way, if they should leak, the chemical won't leak onto food or preparation items. Chemicals should also always be kept in their original containers or in a clearly labeled secondary container. It's important to always follow the manufacturer's instructions for chemical use, paying attention to food grade versus non-food grade labeling. You should also never mix cleaning products or chemicals. For example, combining bleach and ammonia can create highly toxic chlorine gas that can be fatal. It's a good idea to always clean and sanitize surfaces and equipment that have come into contact with chemicals before they are used for food preparation. Produce can be treated with chemicals like pesticide or fertilizer. For this reason, you should always wash fruits and vegetables under running water even if you plan to peel them. Some produce, like melons or potatoes, may need to be cleaned with a produce brush. Do not use soap, bleach, or commercial washes unless they have been specifically designed and approved for edible produce. Staying informed about food recalls can also help you to avoid potential illness from chemicals. By being aware of food safety, you can help your clients to be safer, healthier, and happier.